everyone, today I have the Canon RF 45mm f1.2. We're going to see what this lens can do for photo and video at a real world portrait photo shoot. Let's get started. Could you start like just here in the middle? Can you take a step that way? Oh, this is so pretty. Ooh. The Canon 45mm f1.2 is a super fast full-frame lens at an ultra low price. It almost seems too good to be true. Today, I'm putting it to the test and showing you lots of example images so you can decide whether it deserves a spot in your kit. And thank you to Canon Australia for loaning me this lens. I'm not getting paid for this review, I do not keep the gear, and all thoughts and opinions are my own. Let's start with image quality. I'm using this lens on the Canon R6III and I'll be sharing the unedited photos first at 100% crop so you can see the true quality of this lens, and afterwards the edited version, which I use my New York Lightroom preset pack, which I'll leave linked down below. I'm also really excited to say that I have my natural lighting workshop coming soon, which you can sign up for the waiting list, and I'll leave a link for that in the description as well. The 45mm f1.2 is capable of taking great pictures, and the images it produces are mostly sharp. On the images with critical focus, there is plenty of clarity, so you can see all that nice skin texture and detail in the hair, which is great to have in a more budget-friendly lens option. It's not at the same level of sharpness as high-end RF glass, but considering the price, the results are a real standout. One big reason to pick up this lens is for its fast f1.2 aperture to be able to capture dreamy images with lots of bokeh in the background, and in that regard, this lens definitely delivers. And then let's try that one if you face the window with both your arms, and I'll get like a close-up. We've got that van in the background. Hopefully there's no spiders. Oh, that's so nice. This 45 produces super nice, soft and creamy backgrounds where Faith stands out easily in the frame. The in to out of focus transition area is pretty smooth as well, so that's nice and flattering for close-up shots. No, I'm trying to hide, like there's a van right behind your head that I'm hiding. Oh, okay. That was worth it. Sometimes with more budget-friendly lens options, the bokeh and out-of-focus areas can look quite nervous or distracting, but I find this lens avoids that. The colors from this lens are fairly neutral, leaning towards the warm side a little, but they were easy to work with in post. This is beautiful. You'll notice some strong vignetting and a little bit of distortion in the unedited photos, especially when photographing in locations with straight lines. Using lens correction in Lightroom fixes that up very nicely, but this will be something you have to keep in mind if you plan on using this lens for video. Let's jump to another day to take a look at autofocus performance. I'm still using the R6III here, but this time in video mode with AI servo set to human detection and the fastest AF speed and transition settings. I'm letting the camera and lens do all the work so you can see how it performs in real-world conditions. The 45mm f1.2 uses a stepping motor. For portraits and slower subjects, AF is reasonably quick. It holds well when we're still, but once Dan and I start moving, you can see it slipping. This is also reflected during my portrait session. Autofocus phased in and out with more missed shots the faster we moved, but by the end of the day, I did have a decent in-focus ratio. Some shots were unusable, but I still ended up with a nice selection of in-focus images that I edited. And when it is in focus, I'm actually pretty impressed. It's hard to believe the cost of this lens. I'm calling it now, but I think this is the new nifty 50. By the way, if you want your camera set up in the exact same way as mine, I now have an R6III setup guide which includes my cam set file that you can download and install, and I'll leave that link down below. Wow, it's so pretty here. I'll get like a close-up here. Next, let's take a look at the build. Even though this lens features an f1.2 aperture, it is small and only weighs 346 grams. This lens has a focus ring, a control ring that clicks, an AF to MF switch, and has a 67mm filter thread. It is not dust or moisture resistant, and this 45 also has a close focus distance of 45 centimeters. This lens has 9 circular aperture blades, and I think the bokeh looks great. It is nice and clean, no onion rings. At f1.2, there is some cat eye shaped bokeh, but from f1.6 or so, it is super round. As you step down, you can notice sharper edges from around f4 and onwards. This lens does have quite a few different lens flares, some of which I really like the way they look. I enjoy lens flares that are not super defined, so this one you can see is very soft, there's no hard edges, and thus it's really easy to blend into your photos in a creative way. I use lens flares a lot in my work as I like making that dreamy, soft style of photo that lens flares really suit. Other times, the lens flare it produces is really strong and defined. There is also an interesting flare that I'm not sure exactly what it's called, maybe a linear flare, as you can see here. This 45mm has some chromatic aberration. You do have options in Lightroom to easily remove this CA, however, if you need to remove large amounts of it, sometimes you can end up with a black and white outline around those parts of your image which can look distracting, especially in instances like this where it's all around the edges of the blurred out objects in the frame. This here would be pretty difficult to remove.
Oh yeah, that's pretty.
So, who is this lens for, and what other lenses should you take a look at if you're considering this 45mm f1.2?
And can we do one like walking kind of one as well? Yeah. So I was thinking, yeah, we'll try like the pacing thing again, like kind of in this area. Okay. And I'll follow you around. That's so pretty. Yeah, you can swing your arms around a little bit more if you want. Yeah.
Seeing as this is the most affordable f1.2 lens Canon has ever made, this is for mostly photographers, but some videographers, perhaps hobbyists or beginners who are looking for bokeh and depth of field on a budget and don't mind some of the optical quirks in exchange for that cheaper price point. This lens is perfectly capable of achieving some really great images, as you can see from our photo shoot today. In terms of similar lenses, there's actually not a lot of options currently, but we do have the RF 35mm f1.8 macro, which is a bit wider, it's at the same price point and offers macro capabilities. You also have the Canon RF 50mm f1.8, which is significantly cheaper. However, I haven't had the chance to use these yet, so I can't speak on the quality from experience.
I don't know if you want to like pretend to grab one off the tree, would be cute. Oh, the lonely one. Okay, that's perfect. And then let's go around the corner. I really like the white building. Yeah, just here is really cool. If you want to stand like just out here. Oh, cute. The color scheme is so pretty. So this one's cropping like at your knees, but yeah, I love that like just kind of looking around. That looks really pretty.
Last but not least, I decided to capture some creative B-roll shots of Faith using this 45mm to see how this lens looks for video in a more real-world setting rather than just the autofocus test that we did earlier.
And then let's do one if you lean up against the wall as well. There's a big snail there, maybe in between the pop plants. Oh, yeah, that looks really cool.
Again, this lens does have a lot of character. I found it really fun to use, and this would be a good first lens option for photographers in my opinion. When I first started photography, the only lens I had was the 50mm f1.4 from Canon for an entire year, which I used so heavily for so many different genres of photography before I finally added more lenses to my kit eventually. And I think this 45 f1.2 is the replacement for that 50 f1.4.
The house in the background looks like a little fairy tale house or something. That is all I have for today's review. Let me know what you think in the comments and which ones were your favorite photos. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I make new videos every single week, so I'll see you all next time. Bye.